Earlier today, I was kind of thinking about something really interesting, which is the concept of what people consider to be media literacy. Typically, there are stories or films or books that we kind of collectively agree are just really good and really amazing and really well written. But every now and then, there's someone who either doesn't really like that story or has a perspective on it that's a very rare kind of take. And when that happens, people will tend to be like, this person has a lack of media literacy. But I think that's an incredibly difficult statement to make because I think most people are gonna like a story that emotionally resonates with them the most. For example, I really like ReZero because I feel like it's this story that talks about the themes of things like self-worth and insecurity, and how if your self-worth is placed in how other people perceive you or their approval of you or their adoration of you, then that might be destructive to your mental health because you're not truly striving to be a good person for selfless reasons. But it can also be destructive to the relationships around you because you start getting this sense that like people owe you, which they don't. And that's like super unhealthy. And I think that's why Subaru is such an interesting character, because essentially with Return by Death, he has to make the choice of either being a good person and doing something right because it's right, which no one will see or acknowledge except for him, or just choosing not to do that. In particular, I relate to the theme of wrestling with insecurity throughout my life and realizing that because you're a flawed person, that doesn't make you a bad person, but you should definitely like try to work on those flaws and like develop your sense of self-worth. As well as the concept of that, I believe that you should strive to be a good person regardless of the reward. But that's not everyone's perception of what ReZero is about. And some people don't really resonate with themes of insecurity, or at least the way in which they're presented in ReZero. But I don't believe that these people are lacking in media literacy. I believe that they just have a very different experience than myself, which is why the story doesn't resonate with them as much. They might relate to a much more confident character, or a character with a different struggle, like a more social struggle, or maybe a more familial struggle. So I don't believe they're lacking in media literacy, I just believe there's a different kind of story that will resonate with them.